This company just doesn't get where Americans are right now. Either that or they're trying to appeal to, I don't know, some kind of executive advertising creative style class. This is none other than Jaguar. Remember, they produce cars. I don't know what to say other than I think that they may be channeling Bud Light. Let me go back to this. I want to make sure the audio is working. Okay, now it is. You see? I told you, you get it. There's a few bumps along the way. Anyway, this is Jaguar's commercial. You're like, wait, what? Isn't this some kind of fashion company out of Milan's commercial? No, this is Jaguar, okay? So Jaguar is, as I said, a sports car company, luxury car company. They also make Range Rover. And somehow they're out with this weirdo commercial that has nothing to do. I guess there's a car. No, there's not even a car underneath that. I guess that's just a rock. So why would Jaguar want to channel Bud Light? Is this their way of saying, okay, F you to all you Trump supporters? This is a bizarre commercial. I'm not entirely sure why they want to be the next Bud Light or Target for that matter. Target reporting earnings. It's a disaster. We know what happened to Bud Light. That story did not end well. Now, did it? So who are these morons in the creative department that are trying to make a car into God knows what? I'm curious. I mean, who are they marketing to? Maybe it's Oprah. I mean, Oprah drives a Range Rover, right? Made by.
Do you think Prince Harry's gonna lose his visa now that Trump's president?
Well, she's got a spiffy Range Rover there. Is that who they're trying to market to? Because I don't really think that plays in Peoria, so to speak, but maybe their group is just so affluent they don't care. Maybe they're just trying to market to the Jen Psaki's. That's Peppermint Patty. Remember her from the Biden administration before KJP took over? She was a good PR person because I guess she was just willing to lie through her teeth at all times. I look at what she just did and I'm like, okay, Jaguar, you really want to be Bud Light? Or are you just trying to curry favor with Oprah and Jen Psaki? Why would you make that? Here we go.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. Maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
Look, reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports. And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness.
Okay, so that's Jen Psaki, perhaps trying to continue this movement on in her misinformed way. And she's just so flat out wrong. I mean, number one, right? Let's just be honest, okay? Male athletes typically are better than female athletes. Like, you can be the bottom of the bottom as a male athlete and skyrocket to the top if you're competing against women because, well, you know what? Like, I hate to go back to Bio 101, but I will. Guess what? Those guys have testosterone that the girls don't have and aren't allowed to take supplements for, right? So all that testosterone leads to better muscle development, which does tend to lead to being better, for the most part, at sports. I had a friend like who said, my kids are rowers, and she was like talking about her son. She's like, oh, he's doing so great. You know, I don't understand why he's not moving up. He beats all the girls. I'm like, but of course he beats the girls. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is just what it is, all right? So let's start with the premise that typically, most often, boy athletes, naturally born men, tend to be physically better than naturally born female. On top of that, she's like, oh, well, we don't have to care about this because it's so rare. First of all it takes is one naturally born male to win the trophy and therefore take it away from the naturally born female, okay? All it takes is one. They just had an incident up in New Hampshire, my home state, where this is going on. We're hearing about these things popping up every single week. So it just takes one. So what? It's rare. You know what? That doesn't change the fact that it's not fair to that little girl who should have gotten the trophy, or teenage girl or college girl. And you know what else? There's a lot of things that are not abundant. Thank God, murder, for example, right? Murder tends to be rare. But do we sit there and say, well, because it's so rare, we're not going to actually do anything about it? No, we do something because in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of what is right, you have to do something as a society. So her argument is fundamentally flawed. And yet this is what the likes of Jaguar, Range Rover are trying to cater to right now. Somehow we have to be all accepting, all in. It's sort of bizarre. Listen, Jenny, Peppermint Patty, this is why you guys lost, and you're going to continue to lose. I mean, if I'm, looking back and saying, well, okay, fine, do it again. Do it all day long. Just keep going with that trans stuff that Hillary Clinton warned you about. I got nothing, believe me, nothing against any poor soul that is that mixed up and struggling. I mean, that's awful, okay? And I don't want to be cruel or unkind in any way, shape, or form. But I'm a realist, whether it's in terms of a company that wants to make money and make profits. I mean, Jaguar at least has the luxury of not having that sort of middle American demo that they're going after. But if I'm also a politician, I want to win, do I not? I don't want to sit there and spout a bunch of nonsense that people feel really increasingly uncomfortable. If I'm Target, maybe I don't come out with my whole line of tuck-it swimsuits that I put on, in the front of the store for all the moms to see, because, America's just not there.